Hey guys, what's up? Sorry for the delay in this video. I know I told you guys it was going to be probably maybe 3 months ago that I was going to do another one. Stuff comes up. Been busy at work and everything else. So, uh, for the people just tuning in, I'm just going to skip right into the video and I'll give you guys updates on the new equipment and everything else later. So, what I'm going to go through today is how to do something that I mentioned in the comments of I think I called it an auto EQ maybe. It's probably more better, more accurate description is probably a one knob EQ. Now you can extend this into one or two or three or four or whatever knobs EQ. It's really just basic mapping. So I'm going to go through and show you how to do this and what it is, and let you guys see what it does first. And I'm going to use one of my tracks just because I've found some royalty free stuff, but since this is the first video I've done in a while, I don't want to mess with them auto flagging it and me having to take a month to prove that. So I've just used one of my tracks called Dysgenics. I'll leave a link in the description if you like the track. It's on SoundCloud. And give me comments, whatever. So what this is essentially going to do is you're going to take a this is geared towards an APC Mark II. It is not an MK2. Apparently that is a pet peeve of people, so it was not said to me, but I've seen it from other videos. So it is a Mark II. Be warned. So yeah, the reason I'm doing a one knob is just because the Mark II, I mean, you have these knobs up here, and it's really geared towards a pure track. And when you're DJing, generally, well, I'll go through why we're doing this later. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you how to make the actual effect, and I'll explain what it does afterwards for anybody who knows why we're doing this already, for brevity. So let's just go on to our left track now. I've already set up this on one track. So what this is essentially doing is I've taken an audio effect rack and I've put a 3EQ, a stock Ableton 3EQ, and I'm going to go through and show you how to make this too, but I just want to show you what it does first. So pretty much what I've done is I've taken it so that on this first track here, I have this knob mapped to that track. Now, keep in mind, you're also going to want to make sure that you are in user mode on your Mark II. If you are using Mark II, if you're not, this probably doesn't apply to you. But if you go to user mode, and the original APC, I don't think you actually had to do user mode. I think you could override it. You may be able to do it on this too, but if you probably have to do some finagling to do that on the Mark II. So make sure you're in user mode, and I've mapped the button pretty much over the first track to this one macro right here, and this macro is then mapped through the audio effect rack onto these three buttons. And what it's doing is, and by the way, when you first use this, if you're just booting it up, you'll probably have to go all the way down and back if you're in takeout or pickup mode, I believe it is. So keep that in mind. So what this knob is doing is when you go all the way down to the left, it's shoving your bass way up, taking your mid down a little bit, and when you go all the way to the extreme, it's cutting your high. And then when you come a little bit up from the extreme, your high is just low. And it keeps on doing that as you go up. The bass, instead of being high, starts going low, and the other two go back up. The middle stop at some point. The bass will go all the way down and cut, and the high will max. And the reason for doing this is, well, bass frequencies can flick really bad. Higher frequencies don't. You can shove more high frequencies into a space than you can bass. So when you get two bass frequencies over each other, it's really muddy. And so when you're mixing two tracks, you want to cut those. So, and there's different ways of doing this, and you may want to tweak these differently than the way I have them, but this is a decent beginner auto EQ. And if you really want to, you could even just map it so that the crossfader auto did this. I would really not recommend that, because you're not going to really get the results you want per track. And honestly, I would recommend you learn how to use EQs properly. Maybe a 4 EQ is my personal preference if if I have access to one, because you can really do some things with the subs in a club setting that really help you. So let's just go ahead and go through and see what this sounds like. So I'm just gonna crossfade to the left and just play this. And afterwards, I'm also going to go through and show you how I'm setting up this, the way I have this set up. It's going to be some really basic stuff, and that's why I'm going to save it for the end for the people who just want to see this EQ, because it's really basic. But you know, some of you guys who've subscribed to my channel and commented, it sounds like this is, you know, you're looking at my controller, you know, this is going to be your first controller. So I'm going to go through all that at the end of the video, because I know some people out there are going to hear it, some aren't. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through, for the people who want to hear the EQ, this is what it does. So I'm at 0 right now. I'm going to play my track. And so this is at neutral. The way this is a little lower, and you'll notice my track, my level's a little lower. I'll go through why it's like that as well at the end of the video. But so as you can hear, here's their track, and let's just skip ahead so we can really get into the meat of the track. It's a little breaky track. I go all over the place when I produce and DJ. So this is to the left. It does this, and as you go up, it goes back into the middle, and then to the high, it's really scratchy. And I'll show you let me show you on the screen what it's doing. So as you can see, if you want to follow along, this is what it's doing. And you can see how it's cutting the low, it's cutting the high, depending on what you go up and down. Okay, so that's essentially what it does, and I'm going to go through why it does that in a second, but first I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set one of these up yourself. I might go back through and put a download of this template, maybe. If you guys want one, let me know, and I'll put one up on my PsyCry.com website, and you guys can download it. If there isn't a whole lot of if nobody cares, I won't put it up. I won't bother putting it up, but I'll just show you how to make this. So you pretty much just start with an audio track. And you go to your audio effects, and you go down to, sorry, this is a search. Sorry, that was something else I was doing that I'll show later in the video. So go to your audio, and then go to audio effect rack. You're using effects here, and just drag that down. Make sure the clip you want selected. Just drag it down into the effects, and you have an audio effect rack, which is sort of like the analog effect rack. In this case, I made an EQ3. You could really map this to an EQ8 or anything you wanted, and really trick all this out. Racks are really cool. I've discovered this over a couple of videos of just really high end producers, and there's a lot of really cool stuff you can get into it, and I'll probably do some more advanced videos later. But for the purpose of this, so you're gonna drop an EQ3 into this, and so this is the base of what you're going to do. Now, you're going to open up, if you see right here, there's these two other areas, and you're actually going to hit those and expand those out. Now, if you're, I'll just go ahead and, I'll go through this further in the later videos, because you're going to need all these areas. But if you're wondering why yours doesn't look quite like this, and I have more areas and all, it's because I've gone over here in this area right here, and pretty much lit all these up, and so it displays all of them. Personally, I like more features. You may not. It's really personal preference. I like a lot of stuff in front of me, so that at a moment's notice, I can use it. Some people like things very simplistic, so they don't get confused. It really just depends on how you are. So what you're going to do is you have this on your in your chain, in your effect rack. So it's almost like racking pieces of hardware in, and you can put other effects in here too. And there's some cool advanced stuff you can do that I'll probably get through in a later video. But for the purposes of this is all you need. So just enable those two, and that will give you all these areas. And you're going to go to map here, and what we're going to do for this video is we're just going to do it one knob. You can do however you want. I mean, it's really kind of open-ended in Ableton, especially if you have Live 9, which, by the way, this is Ableton Live 9. If you don't have some of these features, you might have an older version, or I mean, this is a legit copy, which I very much strongly recommend you getting legit copies, but I know how it is. But yeah, me personally, these are all legit copies. So, but yeah, expand these out, and you can go to map. I'm pretty sure the effects rack will probably be in yours. And it says the EQ3. All these are stock Ableton presets, and I might use something for Max in the later part of the video, but Max for Live. But if you have 9, sweet, I know it comes with it. So cool little program to have either way. So go ahead and hit your map, and there we go. Okay, so you're pretty much gonna map. What I did is I mapped the low cut and the high cut, which these are on-off toggle switches, and then I mapped these 3. And I didn't really mess with these. You can, you can mess with these. You can mess with the, however you want to do it. You can change this. It's really your preference. Mess around with it. But this is just a basic. So basically, or for this basic purpose, click on this. Click on these 3 knobs and these 2. And we're gonna map these all to this. So as long as map's on, these will turn green. You click on this, and then you click map to go to this knob. Now you can map multiple things to this one knob, and so you map that too, and map this, and you just keep on doing this. Actually, it didn't look like it mapped that, so there we go. And you can see how it puts the little what it's mapped to over it. Now you could really use your as I said, I mapped all these, and that's all we're going to use for this purposes. I'm going to turn map off so I don't accidentally do something, but you can actually really map all these to MIDI, this little MIDI area, and that's when it turns blue, and you could do it that way. The reason I did it with an effect rack is because I can now, as soon as we finish messing with this, we can drop it on another track, and I only have to map 1 button to the MIDI instead of all of these. So let's just go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So rather than me having to map all of these to one of my MIDI controller buttons, I just map this 1 button to one of my MIDI control buttons, and that's that. So and I do that by just pretty much moving it on my MIDI. So there you go. Now it's mapped to the one actually I mapped that to the wrong one, so map it to this one. Sorry. So yeah, we just map it to the one over that track. And what this will allow you to do is, once you have this set up, you can drop it on any track and just map this 1 button instead of having to remap all of these. And you'll see in a second, we're going to map all these with different sensitivities and everything else. So it's much easier to map 1 button than it is to map all of these and remap all of the inverses and other things we're going to set up. So once you do that, now we have, all the way down. You may have to go all the way down to get it to pick up if you're in pickup mode. If you're in relative, you might not. This is in your options settings, and I have mine set to, where is it? I think it's in MIDI. No. Yeah, right here. So if you go into your options and then you go into MIDI sync, right up here there's a pickup and there's a value scaling. Pickup will pretty much mean you have to hit that knob past where this knob is before it'll pick up the knob and move it. If you have value scaling, it doesn't matter where it is, however much you put it this way on the knob, it's going to move that way. There's advantage and disadvantage of both. I've gone back and forth over the years of using both, and it's really personal preference. So let's just look here. This is me just moving the MIDI or the controller button that I've mapped over the track, over the 3rd track, and if you notice, everything goes up, and that's off, and that's on. Or let's see. I think, I'm trying to remember. Actually, I think that's off. Yeah, that's off. That's on. If you notice the gray, it play around with it. So what we're gonna want to do is make it pretty much like this one, where it is. So these go up and this goes down. The way you do this is to invert it. So what we're gonna do is I'm not gonna go through how long it takes a while to playing around. I'm just gonna give you the values that I used, and then you can just copy those. And if that becomes too much of a headache, just let me know, and I'll copy this whole short of the samples or the tracks. I'll copy this up on my website and you can download it. So if you go into the maps on these, you can see up in this area, this is where they map. So if you look, I have this. If you click on them, it shows you which one of these up here is mapped to what. So if you look at this, I have this a normal, actually the low is inverted, and that means the higher you put the knob, the lower it goes. And then the cut also is inverted. So what I mean when I say inverted is the minimum is higher than the maximum, and that has the effect of when the knob goes up, it goes down instead. So I have the let's just start with the low. The low is at the minimum is 3.19 decibels, and the max is negative 30.4 decibels. The mid I have set to negative 30.4 decibels. The max is 3.19 decibels, and that's not an inverse. That's a normal. The min's less than the max. And actually, if you're playing around these and custom them, you can just hit invert range and it'll flip the two. Just as a just FYI. So that's your mid. That's what I have for the high. Or that's what I had for the mid. This I had for the high is the same thing. So pretty much they're gonna go up pretty much at the same time. And then you have your cuts, and that's why the mid and the high are going at the same time. Is because at some point I actually cut out the high, so it kind of gives a stark effect of you cutting. And if you're I'm a vinyl DJ, so this is kind of a shortcut for you guys who are doing Ableton. I embrace technology, so I'm not an Ableton basher by any means. I do very much encourage you though, if you have the ability and the funds, learn how to DJ and beat match by ear and really use EQs tactfully, like actually learn the old school stuff. Someone coming from old school, I mean, compared to somebody who only did digital, I mean, and this isn't just myself either. I mean, all the DJs I know, you will run circles around your peers if you really know the basics and the new stuff. There's strengths and weaknesses of both, so I very much suggest you learn both. So anyway, back to the video. So this is our low cut. I have it at the min's 127, the max is 119. That's inverted, and then I have the high cut, which is a normal. It's at 5 and 127, and the reason it's so high is just because I only want to cut it when it's very high, and it's so low because I want to cut it when it's very low. So that's pretty much your mapping, and so you would just go through here, and each one of these, as you can see, they're different. So, or sorry, each one of these, this is the default, and so you just go through. If you want, you can just invert it, and like I said, that'll switch it, and then you can just adjust them, however you want to your taste, and just play around with it. You can see how already that's done something. I'm not going to go through it. It's very tedious mapping stuff. It's worth it, very much worth it. I spent probably a month or two the first every time I get a new controller. I spend about a good week, and about a day mapping, a week fine tuning for a show, and then about a month really perfecting a MIDI mapping. So DJing correctly is not a cheap or fast hobby. You've got to have a lot of patience and really have a passion for it. So anyway, let me show you why this is mapped the way it is. So I can just right click here and copy, and you can actually even save this as a preset. Yeah, save as I don't know if the default. I'm afraid to save this as a default preset. Well, screw it. I'll go ahead and hit it. Ah, crap. Yeah, I probably didn't want to do that. Anyway, you can actually I'll deal with that later. So you can actually save these though. Shoot. Yeah, so I think I just saved that over that. So what you'd want to do with this is rename it instead of audio effect rack. Just do one button EQ, and let's just name it that. And I think if we save this now, oh wait, that's what I wanted to hit. Yeah, so there you go, one button preset, and that's a sub of an audio effect rack. So dang it, let's see. And let's delete this out like this and see that as preset. So there's your one button. Yeah. I think it's not letting me do it because there's already one on there. 1 second. No. All right, well, I'll deal with that later. I've just overwritten that, unfortunately. But yeah, so this is your but yeah, that's pretty much what you're doing, and you can actually drop this on any track, any new track you have, and all you have to do different is just remount on the new track by clicking on that and moving your button, and boom. So that's the third. If I want to do it again, just copy, create a new track, paste it in, and remap it up here. And now I'm on the fourth track, so go down, hit the fourth button on here, and that's it. So now this fourth button controls this, third controls this. As you can see, they're independent of each other. So that's why this is mapped the way it was. So if you were wondering, so that's pretty much what your what your end goal is. And let's see, I've already showed you what happens when you hear it. As far as why you do this, I'm gonna go ahead and show you, go through why. I'm pretty sure anybody who wanted to see it doesn't care about the rest of the video is already gone. So just FYI, you can right click on your fader down here, and if you can't see any of these, just hit all these buttons over here to the left, or to the right, sorry, that I have lit up. And I did a slow fade in this just because I think the crossfader is kind of short on this, so that'll give you a slow fade. And if you notice here too, I have a and B set up. Now there is a button for this on the Mark II ABC40 that does this. So yeah, the A is the left, B is the right. So that if crossfader is the left, that's this track. If crossfader is the right, that's this track. And it's all based on this, not on what I'm clicking. So let's just go ahead and do a play all on this, which you can do here, or you can do down here on the controller. And I'm just gonna do that just so you can hear the difference without actually having to beat match everything. And I'm gonna go through a video too how to do that eventually. So this is what you got, what you have. And you notice how this is a little lower than the default, and I just moved that, so I need to remount this. So mount that to the left here. And the values I gave you, by the way, will make it, it'll kind of put your levels down a little bit, which kind of give you some headroom, and I'll go through in a second when we do that. So these are both. So I'm just using a crossfader, and I put them at the same volume, about. And so usually what you're going to do when you're going to mix it, when you're mixing, when you're coming out, you usually put this to the right, which let me show you. So I'm going to start doing this on this track, and then on this track I'm going to start going down and then back up a little bit, depending on how it sounds. And that's why I say you shouldn't really auto map. You could actually map these buttons to this crossfader. I'm not going to show you how to do that just because that's going to sound like absolute not good, but you can do it if you really want to. So what you're pretty much going to want to do is start going in, the high on the left, and then as you go to the right, kind of put it back in with the right hand track. So pretty much the right track is going to go from like down to high, and this track's going to kind of go from mid to a little bit of high, and then depending on the track, either down or up. It's really personal preference, and it's just a lot of practice. But so that's the basics of what this does. It's just, and when you're using a crossfader, it really does make a difference. I mean, you can play around with it too and whatever, and I'm not going to torture you with, that. So that's pretty much what you're doing. Now, I'm going to go through here how to set up, how I have this set up. Like I said, left, right for the A and B. Make sure all these are enabled. I showed you the crossfader curve. And then if you ever see somebody and you go in a club and you see just two lines of these little dots on their controller, and all they do is go back and forth the whole time, and you don't see them really do anything else, they're cheating. Well, debatably cheat. I'm not going to go into the philosophical argument, but seriously, this is a very powerful piece of software, and you're beginning, and that's fine. If you are beginning, I very much encourage you to push the limits of what the software can do, because you can do much more than this. You can have multiple tracks, all on different channels, all on different, you can throw more effects into these racks. You can make it so that when it goes all the way to the the height of it, you can make it so that an echo cuts in. And there's all kinds of things you can do, and I'll do some more videos on that. But for the purpose of this video, pretty much 2 tracks, A and B, left, right, to your cut, or to your crossfader, and your master out. That's what's going out that you're hearing right now. The Q, that there's a button right here that says solo and Q, and what you're gonna do is make it click it till it has Q on there, which is not blue on mine. It's probably the same on yours. And the Q out is gonna go to another channel that you're gonna define, and that'll give you headphones, so you can actually hear. If your right channel's in, you can hear what's going on your left. Now, in this demonstration, it doesn't matter because we're not doing 2 different tracks, but later on, that'll matter when you're starting to warp stuff on the fly, hopefully, and really listening to what's coming in, what's going out, and really planning your set, hopefully on the fly, which is where all this comes from. This whole pre-done set thing is a very recent occurrence, and it's very much frowned upon by a lot of clubs and a lot of promoters, and myself included. I understand the reason for it and the production value for it, and you have to sync the lighting. And honestly, if you wrote the track, you can do whatever the heck you want to with it. If you produce the entire track, like Deadmau5, people like to hate on Skrillex, even Skrillex. I'll give them a free pass. They're not DJs. They're producers, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. But there are people who play other people's music, who do the same thing, that didn't produce it, that have no skills really as DJs, and everybody starts somewhere. I encourage you to get your skills better, and that's why I'm doing these tutorials, is because I know whether I give you these tutorials or not, you're going to use the software and you're going to use shortcuts, and that's fine. That's technology. Still, try to learn your basics back on old equipment if you have access to, or the funds. So, I think that's probably about. Oh, one more thing. If you have the Mark II, if you look on here, there are. And I'm not sure how well this video is going to edit out, but if you look on here, on the device, at the very bottom, if you look on the volume faders on each track, there's 3 buttons. The one at the there's 3 little tick marks. The one at the very top, that's your max, that your channel will go. The one under that's about your 0 decibels. That's pretty much your middle. And the one at the very bottom is the lowest it'll go. So what I usually try to do is your middle. You're all lining these up on the white line. Now, what I try to do to give some headroom is I'll actually take I'll go by the top, the black part of the knob, and actually put that at the second line down. And what that does is it makes it a little bit lower than the 0 decibel, and it kind of gives you some headroom. And the reason I use that line is just because I found by trial and error it's actually not that bad of a line, and it like a level, and it kind of gives you some headroom, and it's a pretty good area. Now, the reason you want headroom is so you don't clip. What's going to happen is if you put everything at 0 decibels, even if you're not clipping per track, when you put 2 tracks over each other in the middle here, like on the crossfader, you're probably going to have clipping, and it's because if these are both at 0 and you're going into one channel that's the same volume, they're probably going to max over the 0. Now, with analog, physics luckily takes care of some of this, and it'll still work, and it doesn't sound quite as bad as digital, but it's really, 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 really bad for your gear, your mixer. If you do it on the wrong systems, you can blow several $1,000s worth of speakers if they don't have a master limiter. Just trust me, you don't want to do that. So headroom is good, and that's why I put these a little down. Now, another safeguard I've put on. Back when I started, they would not let you touch a club system unless you'd been doing it for at least 2 years, and you could demonstrate pretty much on vinyl with a mixer, and on smaller, you had to demonstrate that you were ready to play on a main system. They don't do that anymore, and some people will sign some contracts that are saying if you blow anything, you pay for it, and I know some people who have had to pay a lot of money because they didn't know what the heck they were doing, and they said they did, and they blew a bunch of stuff. So you don't want to do that. So generally in a decent club with a decent sound guy, they should have this limiter on the master anyway, like on the master mixer, but I wouldn't personally rely on that. I just usually throw a limiter at 0. It'll start, I think, at like -30 or -3 or something. I just take this ceiling up to 0 and just leave it as is, and that'll give you a safety net. And then just put my main at 0 and just do sound checks off of that. No matter what, you're not going to go over that 0 decibel, so you're good there. I've also thrown a glue compressor on here. This is a new compressor, I believe, to Live 9. It wasn't in the last ones, but it'll kind of and maybe I'm misunderstanding how it's used. This isn't the default setting, but it kind of, I guess, glues your tracks together, so it kind of gives you some wiggle room in the event you do clip, which you should not try to clip. You should not be trying to go up to this level, but in the case you accidentally clip, it'll give you some, it'll start compressing it and kind of melding it together. So you know, if you have 2 of these, and this is going to sound like crap because it's not being much, but so if you look at your levels here, you see how this is compressing in. There's nothing that's a little bit more compressed. And you see how this is coming down. You don't want this. And you really don't want this either. So you should try to adjust this so it's at least, I'd say probably 5 or so. And your makeup, I think, is going to start down here. But that'll kind of, just do that so that you're not, your makeup, so you're not clipping here. And do this so it's about, I'd say maybe 5 or so. But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of the basic setup there. All right, this video is probably running a little longer than I had intended. Anything you want clarified, put in the comments. Anything you want more, more gone into, just let me know, and I'll try to make another video. This is anybody who's past caring about anything else, you can probably tune out right now. But just to to the guys who have actually subscribed, thank you so much for your feedback. And I'm working on I'm probably still stammering a bit, but if you haven't noticed, I've dropped a little bit of money on a decent mic and some decent recording software, and I'm trying to improve the videos. So thank you for sticking with me as long as you have, and I hope this is helpful. Anything that's unclear, or if you want a less long-winded video, let me know, and I'll work on a script or whatever I have to do, and give you guys as good a tutorials as I can. I'm gonna try to also go through one of the things requested was on the fly beat warping for Ableton. I'm gonna go through that as well. Once I kind of work my camera situation out a little bit better. My GoPro has a tendency, if you didn't notice from my review video, to kind of do this weird green-black thing on the screen. That seems to be a problem with it's with the camera itself. It's not only me, and I think it's because of the camera mount I have in it. I think it gets too hot or something. But yeah, I'm gonna work on maybe improving the quality of that, and I'd like to go through on some actual DJing things, and vinyl and that sort of thing. Hopefully I won't run into any legal issues with using music. I have found some open source music, as I said before, from a site called Ectoplasm. That's predominantly psytrance, but the licenses on those, you can make, you can run ads on YouTube, make money off of them, and recut them, and resell them, and redistribute them, as long as you give them credit of where they came from. So I just didn't want to do that on this video, because I didn't want it to, since it's been so long since I've done one, I didn't want it to get flagged off the bat and then have to do a copyright dispute for a month. So I think that's about it for this video, guys. Again, thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. If you guys like this video, please subscribe. If you guys have any comments, please keep them constructive if you would, but I know this is the internet, so I'm not naive enough to think that somebody's not going to flame me, and that's fine. So it's an improvement process. I really didn't set out to do videos, but I had a good response, and I think I know a lot of stuff that'd be very useful to a lot of you guys. And when I started it was you go to this darkened little club and watch DJs in a back room on vinyl and pretty much beg them to tell you what the heck they're doing. And sometimes they would, and sometimes they wouldn't. Like, we didn't have YouTube. These were the days of people whiting out record labels so you couldn't tell what they were DJing. And this is before controllers, before CDs, before Soundhound and Groove Shark and all these. So but yeah, I think it's great that so many people are able to express themselves without having to jump the hurdles we used to. But I still very much encourage you to force yourself to jump the hurdles, because it'll make you a much better DJ. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Thanks again for watching, guys. And like I said, subscribe, like if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, I would appreciate you not disliking it, but that's your choice. I would appreciate any comments, and I will do my best. I'm a computer science major and a music producer and a DJ, so communications and presentations are not my strong point. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Hope this is helpful, and let me know what you guys want to hear next, and I'll do my best to do it. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.